Well, good afternoon, and welcome to Tech Tuesday from the Sony Professional Display Solutions Group. I'm Rich Ventura, Vice President for Sony PDSA, and today we are going to do a sneak peek around LDI and DSE. And those who aren't familiar with those two trade shows, they're very unique shows, and this team's going to talk a bit about both shows and Sony's involvement in there. We're very excited to be supporting both events. They are co-located in sunny Vegas, and this time of year, those of us in the Midwest probably would not mind going out to Vegas to enjoy a little bit more warmth than the cold weather we have going on here. But to kind of start off, I'm going to do a quick intro or have our panelists do an intro of themselves and talk about their roles within Sony. And I'm going to start from left to right, start with Kianna Pompa. Kianna, you're on mute. Can't hear you. So maybe while we figure your audio, we might jump to the next person real quick here. Jay Leedy.
Hey, Rich. My name is Jay Leedy. I am based out of the Atlanta, Georgia area. I've been with Sony for about 3 years, leading technical alliances and onboarding third-party software solutions for our ProBravia line.
Perfect. Kevin.
Rich, thanks for having me. Kevin O'Connor. I'm a Senior Director of Sales for our Cinematic Productions group, which is essentially virtual production as well as our cinema line of cameras. Happy to be here.
Jason Metcalfe.
Hey, Rich. Hey, everyone. I'm Jason Metcalfe, the Solutions Sales Engineer for Kevin's group, Cinematic Production.
And let's see, Kianna, we got you back now on audio? No, we don't. So maybe we'll keep going while we figure out Kianna's audio. Might be something wrong with her mic. So, I'm going to start first, Kevin, on the LDI side, right? This is the first year that we're showing at LDI. And I think what might be good for everyone to understand, what is LDI and why are we part of this show?
Great question, Rich. So for us anyway, on the cinematic production side, one of the reasons we looked at LDI as an event for us to be able to showcase our products at was, it has a nice tie between rental and staging product as well as virtual production product. And last year, we had a few people that were walking the show floor and really came away impressed with what they were seeing from the other manufacturers that are out there. And we knew at that point that we needed to be a part of this. About a month and a half ago, we introduced a new product that is, among other things, it has a lot of the key features needed for virtual production. And when we knew that was coming out, we knew that LDI was going to be one of those shows that we really wanted to showcase, not only the wall itself, but really our whole ecosystem around what we're trying to do in virtual production.
Cool. So maybe explain a little bit more about what Sony does in virtual production, Kevin.
That's it. Well, the beauty of Sony is when you take a step back and you really look at it from an outsider's perspective, you've got Sony Electronics, which we're all a part of. Certainly within Sony Electronics, you have our display business, Rich, that you run, that Crystal LED is a part of. We also have our cinema camera line, which is very suited to virtual production type applications. And then as you look outside of Sony Electronics, you've got Sony Pictures, and we have strong interaction between ourselves and Sony Pictures. You have our Sony Interactive, which is a PlayStation group, and a lot of the reason that those two worlds tie together has to do with Unreal Engine, which is kind of the engine that runs a lot of these volumes. It's also used in the gaming world quite a bit. Unreal Engine's owned is brought to the market by Epic Games, which again Sony is a big investor in. So we have all these ties around the Sony ecosystem that really made it a smart choice, or at least a really good, strong direction for us to go to.
Okay, excellent, cool. So Jay, we also have DSE going on at the same time, right? And I think all of us are familiar with DSE. I mean, many of us have been involved with DSE for many, many years. Uh, you know, why? What's drawing us to support DSE?
Yeah, I myself, I think this is going to be my 11th year attending DSE in its former and current format. And I think what draws Sony and certainly myself and other industry professionals in the digital signage industry to this show is that it's for a long time really been the single, destination for thought leadership, education, associations that really look after education and developing the industry, helping both students as well as industry professionals, both within the systems integration as well as on the customer and end customer side, learn how to be more effective with digital signage. It's, from Sony's perspective, it's also a great way for us to show our solutions rather than just tell about them. So it's really where the rubber hits the road, so to speak. It's where people that are interested in a range of technologies can see the breadth and depth of what the industry has to offer, both in hardware and software, and then also get educated about some of the things that really drive those decisions. Creative strategy and infrastructure decisions that may or may not be top of mind are covered in a lot of the panels there. But for me personally, it's a great way to just keep up with what's happening in the industry, better understand industry trends, and for Sony in particular, we have some great product to show, especially this new deep black non-glare product that I think is really going to be very compelling for a lot of folks that have maybe felt that we were missing that piece in our lineup.
Okay, cool. So if we look at overall for those, hopefully those many on here are going to be attending DSE and LDI. If you look at what we're focused on the LDI side, as you heard us talk about virtual production and all the tool sets, and we're going to kind of go into that a little bit more here in a minute with the team. And then the DSE side, it's obviously it's our traditional signage, it's our portfolio, and we'll also dive a bit more in that. And Jay talked a little bit about the deep black, which I think is definitely a huge differentiator for Sony as we look at how we differentiate and drive in the business. But diving into the booth a little bit, Jason, let's kind of talk first on the virtual production side of it. What are we showing technology wise, and what's been that journey to get us to where we're at today?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. LDI DSE is exciting for us because it's the first public presentation of our new Verona product, which is a new LED product in our Crystal LED line. It is built for the needs of productions, camera integrated spaces, and rental and staging. And so obviously this is the place to show it off. And we've shown some demos. We've showed it privately, but this will be the first time it'll be on a trade show floor. And so we're excited about that. It's a great opportunity for us to have all of the attendees see it. And it's also exciting because we are having more and more differentiation in our LED product line and specialization. We have had very high performance products in the Crystal LED line for many years now. And I think over time they've evolved to be a little more specific, a little more driven by customer needs. And I think Verona is a great representation of that, as well as the CH and BH series wall mount panels that we will have on the booth as well.
Okay. So, Jason, kind of one of the things that I've been really interested in and looking at is, we talk about the differentiation of Sony, and Kevin talks a lot about all of this stuff we're doing. What, in your mind, and you look at that evolution, let's just go back to a little bit of the evolution. And that journey we've taken, how much feedback and input have we taken in the technology from the market, from our customers, from the consultants and everyone else to evolve? And what have we really done differently about the product?
Yeah, a lot, honestly. I think if it's fair to say, our initial offerings, in the Crystal LED family, were about maximizing every aspect of performance. And they were built around pretty fine pitch and micro LED at a time when no one else was really doing that. Almost 10 years ago now. But some of the changes that have been driven by the market are, making it easier to apply to a number of spaces, making install easier, changing some of the specification targets like luminance levels, color achievement, black level, anti-reflection, that make it easier to use in a number of spaces. And so those have been important drivers. I think that we've done a good job, generation over generation of responding to the market needs. And again, I think LDI is going to be a great example of that, because the products that we'll have on the floor there are very much driven by those specific requests. And the CH and BH series, making install easier, decreasing reflections in the BH series for high ambient light spaces. CH series, increasing the luminance level, increasing some of the color accuracy, and then of course in Verona, really reconfiguring the entire product, making it specific to the needs of virtual production, in-camera VFX, and camera integrated spaces.
And Rich, if I could jump in here too,
Yeah.
one of the things that you touched on there, and Jason touched on it as well, is getting that voice of customer. I think we really made a point, and to Japan's credit, that they were a big part of this. We really made a point of going out and talking to the industry, and not just those that were friendly to Sony, but we also wanted to know what was it that we were missing. What was it? Where were our problem areas if we were going to have some problem areas? And Japan took that feedback, and really Verona is the result of that feedback. So it wasn't just a couple of cursory surveys that went out. It was in-depth discussion with not only the resources we have within Sony, with Epic Games and Pixelmondo, but also talking to industry insiders like Lux Machina and companies like that, where we really got a better understanding of what their real needs were, where were the pain points in the industry at the time, and how can we come out with something that would benefit the industry.
Okay. But Kevin, it's also not just hardware, right? There's other
Correct.
things we've done. I hear a lot about the virtual production toolkit, and that's just huge. Maybe talk a bit about that. And I don't hear that coming out of our competitors. I hear this really as a Sony thing.
It's really a great distinguishing feature that we have with our product. Again, going back to what I said a little earlier, we have the cameras and we have the displays. And one thing that we all know about virtual production is it is a very intricate system of all these different pieces that all have to work very, very seamlessly together. What we sought to do with the VP tool set, the virtual production tool set, was really to try and streamline that process, make it a lot easier, and at the same time provide tools that will help a production certainly in pre-production to get what they want. So when they get on set, they're able to operate a lot more efficiently. Two of the VP tool set, we put the downloads are on our website now, on the Sony Cine site and the Sony Pro site. You can download. They're a free download right now. It'll sit on Unreal Engine. What Virtual Venice is, that's one of the two. Is essentially it's taking the Venice camera that we all know and love, that the industry has used for a number of different products, and we're putting it inside the Unreal Engine. So the artist gets to use the Venice in a digital environment, and then goes out to the real world and gets the same results. So a lot of the pre-viz and pre-production stuff that happens, you're able to do a lot of that stuff in a pre-visualization environment, so that when you get onto the set, you're not wasting time. You're able to move right away. The thing I would say, one of the things that really kind of comes to the forefront on it is something called moire detection. It's one of many. And just to give you one example of what we're doing with it, moire detection is as you move the the Venice camera within this virtual environment, it's telling you where you might see moire on the picture. It'll say it's good in a green. It'll say, I shouldn't be shoving my hand in front of the camera like that. It'll say good, with green, and then as you start to get a little bit sketchy, it'll go into yellow. And then if you're definitely going to get moire, it'll show a red where that is. So they're able to block the camera, block the actors where they need to in that pre-vis environment, so that when they get to the set, everything is all scripted out for them, and they're able to do it much, much faster. One of the things that I'm going to quote, or do my best to quote Rod Bogart, who's the chief color scientist at Epic Games. He had said in a little video we have, it's the difference between, yeah, that's pretty close, to, yeah, that's correct now. So it really kind of strengthens, or that improves that process. The other part of it is our color calibrator, our color calibration system. Essentially, it's calibrating the colors in a virtual production environment before you start to shoot. An example of this would be like white point temperature tracking. As the brightness levels change on your screen, the temperature tracking or the temperature also changes. So what color calibration does, it allows the LED display to have the same temperature at different brightness levels, and thereby the white point being perfectly traceable. Again, when we were doing the testing on this, I think it was Lux Machina. Jason, you might want to correct me on this, but I think Lux was saying that in doing so, you took basically a 3-hour process that would typically happen on the set, and you're doing it in 10 minutes. So really creating those efficiencies is what we're all about. We have a camera, we have a wall. Now what we're trying to do is create some of those workflows that make things go a lot smoother on a set.
Okay. Yeah, and I think as we look at that, why Sony and that differentiation, it's all about workflows and tool sets. It's not just about a part. And I think Kevin, we've talked for many years about it has to be around solutions. We need to build those solutions so that the customers and the individuals who are deploying these technologies can deploy them successfully. But also, you talked about everything from color accuracy to quality of image, all of that stuff. We have to solve those pain points for customers. So it's pretty exciting to see how far this has come. And I'm assuming this is going to be on demo at LDI.
Correct. Yes, that's the plan.
Excellent.
We'll be showcasing our 2 different pixel pitches of LED, the Verona LED, as well as our virtual production tool set.
Excellent. So let's go to the other part. I think we hopefully got her live now, Kianna.
I hope so. I hope it works now.
There we go. So
Okay.
Kianna, we're also going to be showcasing in the booth around a lot of our ProBravia and LED products for digital signage as well, right?
Correct. We'll have
So what
our
are we
full
showing?
ProBravia lineup. So we're doing a lot of things. We have 3 different areas. So first and foremost, we'll show our complete display lineup. So starting from our EZ20L series, it's a completely brand new product that we'll be showcasing first time on the show floor. So it's a scaled down version of our current ProBravia line, but our original line that we launched at InfoComm will also be there. So the 30L series, 35L series, 40L series, and then we also have a special 98-inch in its own class with the 50L series. So we do have a complete lineup. I would say 3 complete lineups with that special offhand 98-inch, which has beautiful picture quality. So you're going to see that firsthand in the booth. And then last but not least, we will also be showcasing our device management platform that we will hopefully go live with in December. So you get to play with the device management platform, see all of the tool sets there on the show floor.
Okay, cool. So what about partners? Are we going to be showcasing? Are we running any technology partners in our booth?
Technology partners are going to be showcased there where we have a list of our full alliance partners. So it'll be right next to the DMP, not specifically showing any partner products, but showing how our ProBravia SoC is compatible with a lot of these partners. So all of our partners have third-party applications that can be preloaded with the help of the DMP or through a USB stick using our Android operating system. So we will be showcasing the full list of partner
Okay.
products that are available to end users.
Okay. So Jay, that really dovetails into what you're doing and help supporting the team. And you've been on board just over 3 years now. Talk a little bit about what your role and what you're doing, and how you're helping support the business, and also let's talk a little bit about DMP and the provisioning tool, because I think that's some exciting stuff that we're going to be showcasing as well. Jay, you're on mute. We lost your audio now.
Thank you so much. Sorry about
There we
that.
go.
Yeah, great to talk about this because it gets, I think, a little confused. I engage with a lot of end customers and help support a number of your team, but I actually sit in a different part of the organization within Sony. So I'm part of an organization that is really part of an extension of our headquarters product planning team, and is really primarily a group of engineers. There's a small group of business development resources that are really focused on strategic enablement of our product. How can we enhance our go-to-market strategy? How can we make our products more valuable to our resellers and their end customers? And to that end, my focus since I've joined has really been on our ProBravia line of product in building out a partner ecosystem that can serve those interests. So, as you know, Rich, I take my direction and really prioritize my workload based on where the business wants to go and the opportunities that you and your team see. But we're also in concert with a couple of my counterparts that are globally distributed, looking for opportunities to uncover differentiation and bring in technologies that maybe are not on your team's radar or even sometimes on your reseller's radar. We're trying to look at a crystal ball, so to speak, and figure out where the market's going. And a great example of that is our newest alliance partner. We have a couple of different tiers of partners. Alliance partners being those that are strategic in nature and that are really differentiated and very meaningful to our reseller community. The most recently added is a company called Userful. Up until recently, AV over IP has been very hardware and chip based, but Userful has focused their technology and pivoted from what most people know in the industry as a video wall solution, where video wall optimization didn't exist with CMS partners. They've kind of pivoted and really focused on software-defined AV over IP. We can run their U client directly on our Android TV-based operating system. And speaking of Android TV, we are the only commercial display manufacturer focused on the Pro AV market with a Android TV flavor of the operating system. So a lot of my role has been educating the market, educating potential partners and current partners about what's possible with Android TV, and in some cases leveraging the mind share that we get from that partner ecosystem back into our own organization to help drive change and synergies to meet the market needs. One of those market needs in particular that's been identified is the need for device management. So you mentioned DMP. DMP is short for exactly what it is. It's a device management platform that's fully cloud-based. It's a SOC 2 Type 2 and ISO 27001 compliant solution that has a range of tools that allow for our managed service providers and resellers or end customers to better manage our displays, both in terms of core functionality and settings, timers for them to be programmatically turned on and off to meet sustainability requirements. We're also able to support remote installation and updating of third-party applications like digital signage. And then probably last but not least, we have, through this platform the ability to now do a rapid provisioning process, which I think is going to be really appealing to the lion's share of our managed service providers that saw our provisioning process as a barrier because of the steps involved. We basically are automating that entire process and using a simple pairing hash, either through QR codes or pre-enrolling a group of devices in this back end to fully automate that process and make it much easier and less labor intensive to deploy our RVonAV displays, but also to take kind of the human element of risk in the misprovisioning those, so to speak, for ad hoc solutions or drop ships to the field where a technical resource may not fully understand what exactly this device is meant to do. Device management also removes risk. Anyone that is operating in an enterprise environment knows that a device with compute presents risk to a client network. Some of those networks don't have segments that are dedicated for vendors to ride on their data. So this helps to address those concerns as well. We're really excited to start to bring this to market in the next month, as Kianna mentioned. And for anybody attending DSE, we'll be more than excited to show you the capabilities of what it is today, as well as talk about where we're taking it in coming months.
Excellent. So we got a lot going on at DSE and LDI. I mean, I know we've got a lot of product. We've got a lot of demonstrations. We got sponsorships. We've got different things going on. I think we're supporting some different after-hour events. But I think also really important is we've got some speaking sessions going on. And I think Kianna and Jason, both of you, I think I've got some speaking spots. Jason, what are you going to be presenting and talking about?
Yeah, thanks, Rich. On Tuesday morning, I'm going to be giving a presentation about some different technology convergences that we've witnessed over the past 3 to 5 years. Big one for us in our group is the use of cinematic production techniques and looks in the live events industry. We've seen cameras like the Venice that are full frame, express a depth of field look, if you will, be used on live events like concerts, Super Bowl halftime show, comedy shows, these kind of applications. So it provides the producer, the creative team, a very unique look. It's not typically present in live events, but it also creates some challenges as well. And we have done some integrations and provided some feature sets that make that use case a little bit easier. And then, of course, similarly, we've seen this convergence with virtual production, where some of these processes that were happening in pre-production using, essentially gaming platforms like Unreal Engine have now migrated into real-time production on set. And similarly, it is a huge asset, I think, to productions. Provides a lot of new possibilities, but a lot of new challenges as well. And again, we've been working to make that process easier through things like the VP tool set and other feature sets. So that's what I'm going to focus on in my talk on Tuesday morning. And I'd love it if everyone comes out and listens.
Okay, cool. And then Kianna, you're also speaking at the show this year, right?
Yes, I am. I will be speaking on the 4th in the afternoon at 1:30. The title of my presentation is Turning AI Mystery into AI Strategy. And it's basically a background of my experience being a sales support engineer and hearing customer feedback and how AI tends to be a buzzword, but how we've been able to transform it into our strategy when talking to our customers, listening to what their pain points are and analyzing what their real problem is and how we can leverage the use of AI within our products, whether that be digital signage, using camera tracking for AI as well, turning all of those solutions that we currently have in our lineup into problem solving. So how we can talk to our customers and end users and integrators to be more specific and strategic with the way they talk about AI.
Cool. So a lot of great information that we're going to be showing and from a tech perspective, and we've got some panels going on and a lot of engagement. I do want to turn a little bit over to some of the questions that we're getting, and I'm going to start out on the virtual production side. And Kevin, we talk or we see a lot about virtual production in these large volumes, right? We talk about but I think, as we both have seen, virtual production is more than just the movies. What other areas are we seeing virtual production, being used or being investigated as an application?
Sure, that's a great question, Rich. But even within the movie world, it's become so much more than just the Mandalorian, which is kind of the show that got everybody buzzing. And now it's certainly being used for most car scenes. Being used for commercial spots and music videos. It's moving well beyond traditional Hollywood movies. Um, but that said, it's going into other verticals that we all know. Certainly, the education vertical for us has been with film schools wanting to incorporate virtual production into the curriculum. That's been an area that we've worked with a variety of schools. You saw the big agreement with the uh, University of Southern California last year, where we now have a virtual production learning center at their facility. Um, so the education world is one, and then of more recent note is corporate. A lot of corporations are instead of having their CEO hop on a plane and fly to some location to shoot a in-house town hall or something like that. They're able to do it from a sound stage where they can basically put that CEO wherever he needs to be. Case in point, if you're the CEO of an airline and you want to show that you're one with your workers, and you want to put yourself at a gate or something like that, or in the luggage area. You can do it without having to go to the actual area in a controlled environment where lighting and sound is going to be optimized. And then the last area that we're really starting to see is even on broadcast. Broadcast is becoming another big player in the area of virtual production, as you see it a little bit with the NFL Today type shows that you're seeing the use of LEDs and virtual production in those spaces as well. So it really is an expanding marketplace. People are seeing that if done right, and that's a big caveat there, but if done right, it certainly it can create some efficiencies in a production.
Okay. So, Jason, with some of the new design and some of the tech that we're doing, let's look from the technology side of virtual production. How much easier are we making it for companies to actually deploy? From a tech side, right? I mean, we look at the hardware, we look at the installation, but really, I think we've always talked about how do we make it easier to do business with, but how do we make it easier truly for companies to start from scratch?
Yeah, that's. I think that's what everyone's looking for these days, and so we're approaching that on a number of fronts. From a pure technology standpoint, by doing things like increasing the refresh rate of the panel, you make camera integration easier, and you're less likely to create certain artifacts, right? So that's one area where you now have a little more flexibility on set, or in whatever environment you're shooting in, and you're less worried about kind of a poor quality end result. The other side of that would be the physical deployment of the panel itself, which we've done things like add protection against damage to this new panel, the Verona panels, during install or disassembly as well, because a lot of people are taking these systems, they're putting them up temporarily, they're moving them around, they're using them in different spaces in the same facility, and so we want to try to mitigate as much damage as possible when that happens. And then on both of those fronts, we've created this new technology, this surface technology that maximizes the black level of the panel. At the same time, it protects the surface of the panel itself from damage. So those are two very specific things we've done with Verona. Like Kevin touched on earlier, the virtual production tool set is also there to help maybe reduce the workload that's needed on set, make some of those processes easier, like color calibration, which can be a very time-intensive process. We're trying to make it not only faster but easier to perform, and we feel that is going to help adoption across all markets, but especially in ones where you don't have as many resources, you don't have as large of a team as a AAA, cinematic production, for instance, and you need to you need to create these efficiencies, because, like Kevin said, the benefits are immense, over things like a practical set or a green screen. There are uh, lighting benefits and real time benefits to virtual production that a number of organizations can use and can benefit from. And so that's where we're trying to again create a easier process, create a suite of tools and a solution for organizations, and hopefully that's what people are going to see when they visit our booth at LDI.
Cool. So, Kianna, and I'm supposed to maybe Kianna and to Jay on this. There's a question about the device management platform, and first off, why did we do this? I mean, it's probably the most simple. It's simple, but it's a complex question, right? Why are we investing in something like this? Is there really a need to have a standalone platform to do this? Maybe Jay, I'll throw it to you because you were definitely obviously heavily involved through the ideation process that we went on this.
Sure. Yeah. Um, the simple answer to why we did this is because the market told us that it's important. Um, there's a lot more to that, and unpacking that comment is, there's, as I mentioned earlier, a growing need to manage risk of smart devices on networks. But there's also a cost benefit to managed service providers that are looking to remediate issues remotely without having to roll trucks and put technicians in the field. That's an increasingly costly endeavor, because of labor costs, because of gas costs, because of lost time in identifying root cause of an issue once a technician even gets on site. So equipping those technicians with the best possible information before they arrive on site just makes servicing the customer and ensuring uptime is met to the service level agreements that our resellers and managed service providers execute with their clients, is really paramount at this point. We see probably the North American market, the U.S. in particular, leading the charge in the requirements for these types of solutions, in part because most clients operate within a geographic boundary that is within one country, but very, very large. That's not necessarily the case in other markets, but we're seeing this trend start to take hold, certainly in the larger European markets, and Latin America, as well as Australasia and the Asian markets are following close behind. And a lot of that goes back to risk mitigation.
Okay. So, Kianna, in your conversations with the customers, and what are they saying about a tool like device management platform?
I think the most exciting thing that I see from the device management platform is the ability to install packages remotely. So a lot of our CMS partners have APKs that we will need to preload, and historically in the past, the workflow would be needing a Google account to sign into the Google Play Store, similarly how any end user would do it on their mobile device. With the help of DMP, it really empowers us to bypass that where we can do it all remotely. So essentially, an installer doesn't have to have credentials that you might not want to share. So we definitely increase the security of our display where we're not having to share that credential with multiple users. You do it all from a single point, which would be our device management platform. You install these packages remotely and just makes it an easier workflow all around. So I think that's the most exciting thing that we have
Okay.
on that DMP.
Yeah, and so Jay, looking at the work we've done, do you see this as a competition to the CMS companies, or do you see this as a complementary solution for them?
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, it can be both, but the reality is that it should be a complement in most, if not all, cases. And what I mean by that is that we have a number of CMS partners that have historically included a degree of device management in their solution that are now starting to realize that where the trends in the market are going with customers preferring to define a discrete device management solution that is independent of a playback engine. A number of our partners have actually created playback only or light versions of their products that can work in concert with the DMP or other device management platforms. Or if the customer wants to continue using their solution as a full featured solution, including their device management capabilities, they have the option of doing that. And we're offering the option to do to deploy in both manners with Sony. I think there's also kind of a trend in general because of the cloud services and because of kind of the proliferation of the number of device types that's made it really cost intensive for CMS platform developers that, once maybe focused only on a single platform in Windows, for example, to continue to keep up with all the various flavors of hardware and allocate the resources necessary to maintain parity across all these various device types. So I think, generally the trend has been towards focusing on what the CMS providers do really well, which is optimizing content publication and optimizing all the various data integrations that can make these content strategies much richer, and leaving device management to tools that are really discretely designed for those purposes.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty crazy when we look at the evolution, right? And how software, I think we all remember having the conversation 5 years ago of AV versus IT, and how really IT mindset has really evolved AV, right? We've added in cloud computing, we've added in control systems. We're focusing less and less on hardware and more on software. And I think that even it bleeds right into the virtual production side too. I mean, Jason, as we said earlier, we talked about, and Kevin talked about the virtual production toolkit. It is more about, it's less, there's more impact that software and IT is having, I think, even in the virtual production side than we all thought it probably was going to be a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and just to say, it's not about reducing roles necessarily on set. Virtual production has created the need for an entirely new team that was never really, that present necessarily on set. You didn't have to manage a giant display that needed calibration and needed to be integrated with, the way a camera image sensor works. And so some of the biggest limitations in virtual production right now, and I mean, this isn't new, it's been going on for a couple of years now, is there's just not enough people. Like Kevin was saying earlier, the education initiatives are about getting more qualified technicians and personnel on set, because these are complex systems that require a lot of maintenance. And so we're trying to add to what an individual can do on set. Definitely not replace individuals.
Okay. So Kevin, thinking about the future here, and we're in budget time, so we have to think about what the future is going to look like, right? But where do you think virtual production is going to go in the next year? And where do you think a show like LDI and exhibiting at a show like this is actually going to help where virtual production is going?
So, in order to understand where the virtual production is going to go in the next year, I think we have to look at what's happened in the past year. And certainly from a traditional Hollywood perspective, we saw prior to the strike some downsizing by some of the streaming companies. We saw some budgets being cut on overall content spend, and then boom, we get hit with the writer's strike and the actor's strike. And it pretty much put a a standstill to production in Hollywood and well in North America. And so now that the strikes have been settled, now we're going into the holidays. Typically, what ends up happening is post holidays, we're hoping to see that ramp back up to try and get us back up to the levels that we saw in calendar year 22 and certainly the very start of calendar year 23, where we were seeing a lot of that production. So I do think from a production standpoint, that's going to increase now that the strike is over, and we'll hope to get back to the levels that we saw prior to it, and certainly see some more investment happening from the studios. On the opposite end of the spectrum is, as Jason just pointed out on the education side, that's an area of growth for us, certainly, because there is a need for talented crew to be able to use this stuff. But also on the corporate side, this corporate and broadcast are two areas that we see growth in the next calendar year as well as our fiscal year. We do see an area or needs there that, what's happening on the Hollywood side, as we talked about, it can get, it sounds rather complicated. What we're trying to do on the corporate side, and we've, talked to a number of our traditional systems integrators in the AV world, simplifying that and making it so that it's really easy to operate. And, you're not going to be doing, environments like that you'd have on The Mandalorian or any of these, Star Trek or any of these shows, but you'll, the idea for somebody to go in and do a quick, little production, where a CEO is coming in and doing it very quickly. I think that's something that we'll see grow quite a bit of in next year. The other thing we're seeing is, as we saw the streamers start to cut, we started to see the rental and staging companies start to grow, because the studios themselves were not building their own volumes. They were going out and doing pop-up volumes where they were renting the volumes and going to more location-based production. So the rental community became great, and LDI for us is, among other things, you're going to get a wide swath of people that attend that. But I do think the rental and staging group industry is starting to migrate a little bit more towards virtual production as being a part of their offerings, just because it's so closely related to live event type stuff and the need to be able to do some things with LED, that I think that's a natural progression. So I think LDI is a real good vehicle for Sony to be able to exhibit to those sorts of people.
Cool. So, kind of looking at where we're at, and just from the show is, gosh, not even a week away, right? I think you guys are heading to Vegas Friday. I think part of the show starts this weekend, and with LDI right into DSE. There's a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of products that we're showing. We got a lot of solutions we're showing. I know we're up for an award, the DSE Award for the International African American Museum. A lot of exciting stuff. I think we've had a bunch of press releases coming out, and I've talked about, device management came out. I know we've been talking about provisioning tool. There's a lot going on, and I think it's going to be pretty exciting when you do come to the Sony booth, and you're going to see, all the stuff around virtual production, all the stuff around digital signage space. You're going to see we've got a partner space inside DSE. We've got products in different partners' booths. I mean, there's a lot going on next week. So pretty exciting time to see all the innovations and the advancements we're doing in products. I'm going to go around the robin really quick with each of you and just say, what's that one or two things that you're excited to show next week, or this weekend, I should say, at the show. And then that's number one. And number two, I want you to kind of say, what are you excited to see? So what are you excited to show, and what are you excited to see? And, I'm going to start with Kianna in the top left.
I think on my side, what I'm really excited to showcase is the fact that we'll have all the displays side by side. So with our 40L series, you'll get to see firsthand our deep black anti-glare coating. It's very unique and very specific to the Sony brand, and we still have the ability to reproduce accurate color and still get those deep blacks. So I'm excited to showcase that and have end users see it firsthand. I think what I'm excited to see is since it's the first time that we'll be showcasing on the LDI side, I'm really excited to see all of the virtual production sets and how we're going to showcase that in comparison to what else is in the booth. So pretty exciting stuff on that side.
Okay. Mr. Metcalfe.
Hey, Rich. Yeah, it's easy for us because just having the opportunity for everyone at the show to see the new Verona product is huge for us because we've had a lot of interest. Just physically, it's been hard for us to get demo units out and have people see it. So this is the first chance that we're really going to have a lot of people see it at the same time, and that's exciting for us. And from my perspective, this past year, there's been a lot going on, but it's been a chance for a lot of companies to do development and especially targeted towards production. So I know there's some new stuff coming, some new technologies that I'm excited to see in person. So,
Kevin.
Yeah, certainly I can agree with Jason on the Verona product. It's showed it in a somewhat private event in Hollywood, and it got great reviews. So really looking forward to showing it in a exhibit type of environment. It, in addition to that, is to showcase that if we can't illustrate, but at least talk to our virtual production tool set. I think that'll be key as well. In terms of what I'd be looking forward to seeing is, and I don't want to echo Jason, but their virtual production, it just seems like every other week there's some new technology or new product or new way of doing something, and it's such a emerging and developing technology that I think going to events like LDI, it really brings, gives you a chance to kind of see a bunch of those technologies in a very uh, in one place. So I think just seeing what the advances are in the industry, I think would be a big thing. I talked a little bit earlier about how virtual production is there's a lot of pieces that go into that, and understanding those pieces, I think, is ultimately to our benefit, and how can we better work with them? What are some areas that we can distinguish ourselves as a company?
Okay. All right, Jay. What are you excited to show, and what are you excited to see?
Well, I'm super excited to show the DMP, of course, and get our potential and current customer feedback on that, as well as our partners, and answer any questions that they might have. As far as I'm excited to see, I'm really excited to see the Tesla coil on that LDI show floor fire off. I didn't get a chance to see it last year. It looks pretty amazing, but for just an industry benchmark, to see the sphere in person, I'm really excited to get a look at that thing. I've actually been watching a webcam that's a live feed of that, which is pretty interesting. There's constantly new information they keep throwing up on that thing, and there's a lot of creative potential with that, and I'm excited to see how that can set the stage for where both virtual production and just general venue space can go, to include digital signage as a component.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We have quite a few displays inside there doing digital signage, so it is a pretty amazing technology solution. So, we've got LDI begins on Sunday, December 3rd, and then we got DSE like right after, right, starting Monday the 4th. There's a lot going on in Vegas. We're hopeful that a lot of you are going to be going out there, spend some time with the Sony team. We're in booth 289 in the LDI side. We also have the AV Networking Lounge at DSE. We're sponsoring a lot of different things that are going on. There's some after-hour events going on, some different parties and stuff like that. We've got speaking engagements. There's a lot going on next week. You guys are going to be pretty busy at the show. Taking a step a little forward, when we look at the next RVonAV, it's going to be on December 12th. We're going to do a year in review. We're going to have some different industry leaders on this, talking about trends that we saw this year. What are we going to see going into next year? Definitely don't miss. We've got a lot of great speakers on that, and we're going to be talking about a lot of the future here. definitely, if you want to spend some time with Sony, we'll have a link out there that you can schedule a booth tour. Just come to the booth. We said we're going to be at booth 289. Spend some time with the team. There's some information out there if you go out to the Sony Pro /AV Solutions link for our website and learn more about it. So good luck for all of everyone here at the show the coming weekend. Thanks for spending some time with everyone. Thank you all for spending some time with us, and we'll talk to you soon on the next RVonAV or the next Tech Tuesday. Thank you.